I clicked it on 3 instead of go, and now I'm like, oh no, should I redo it?
Are you at like, I'm at 6, 7, 8, 9.
10, 11. Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty close. We're
It's
pretty close.
fine.
Because I'm at 15. Like, yeah, we're pretty close. So I'm recording and you're recording.
Yeah, we're both recording.
We're both recording. Way to go.
It's truly taken us an age to get to this point. This year has been so freaking weird for like our little podcast because we, at this point, I don't believe we've hosted any of the episodes we've kind of accrued so far.
No.
Because the merry season of spring has been so chaotic on us.
Yeah. Well, my mom even asked if we were going to continue. Like, she's like, are you guys going to keep on doing your podcast? I was like, oh yeah, we're recording. She's like, really? I haven't seen any come up on my feed. I'm like, Mom, we're recording. We're not posting just yet. So
yeah, I need to figure out like a new time to edit because my weekends have just been so booked. And it's just like regular social things. It's
yeah, like, no, I get that.
Oh, I don't know why it feels like I'm so busy when it's just like every single person I know has a birthday on a weekend.
Well, but also I think that I know that I have come off of like the pandemic being like, gosh, I did like 2 things today. Right? So like it's still like I'm still building up like the tolerance for being out of my house.
I feel like it was my like weird little secret guilty pleasure like early in the pandemic that I was like, I'm so happy I don't have to talk to anybody. I was like, I'm so happy I can just stay home all the time and not talk. Like I was like thrilled.
Yeah. Andrew was also thriving.
I don't know, like right?
Yeah.
At some point it did become all right. Yeah, no, I see how this is grating on everyone else too. But like at first I was really down with it.
Yeah, Andrew definitely was thriving at first. Or no, kind of the whole way through. Because he only had like all of April of 2020 fully off from work. And then he had to go back to work. So like he'd go to work, he'd come home, he'd have his family, and then get to spend all of his weekends with me. Right? And he's like, this is everything I want. Right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm dying. Like your extroverted wife hasn't seen the eyes of another human in too long. Like, thank God we had our kids though, because like I can't imagine how like physically deprived of touch I would be without them, right? So yeah, it was hard times.
And, like, oh, I'm not that I'm looking forward to it, but I'm kind of like keeping an eye on the horizon for like the way that's going to change society, like the way that crucial socialization just didn't happen for kids.
It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely like showing itself all over the place inside school systems and stuff like that, particularly not so much for my kids' age group with them being a little bit younger, but the kids that were 5 and older. Yeah, it had some effects. Also the huge disruption to their academics. Listener, this is Romance Writers Therapy.
Just gonna cut all that.
Yeah. 4 minutes in.
Doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Oh, 4 minutes. Okay, yeah.
I'm Marty V, and that's Kate Pryor. And you are listener.
Hello, listener.
Hello, listener. Oh my gosh, are you so excited for season 3 of Bridgerton?
I am. Doesn't that come out like this week?
It does, in 2 days.
16th?
Yeah, the 16th.
2 days. Okay. Oh my god.
I know.
Right? And like everyone, there's this like conversation happening on Threads about how like historical romance is like a dying genre, and a lot of people are like, excuse me, no. And like, I'm on team excuse me, no.
Yeah, of course.
Oh.
But like, okay.
I swear, every time there's a new Bridgerton season, there's a renewed interest in historical romance.
Absolutely.
Like, chill.
Well, and like also
they're gonna
like
drop another Pride and Prejudice, like what do you call it?
Adaptation.
And then people are gonna be all over and all over again. Like these things come and go.
And that's exactly it. Like, it's like saying that like because monster romance is having a moment, because dark romance is having a moment, and now hockey romance is having a moment. Guys, it was just Rockstar romance just like a minute ago, right? Like, all these things come in cycles. We'll come back around to it. The 1920s will become interesting again. Like, all these things are going to happen. It's just, you know, right now our attention is shifted towards a different genre. Doesn't mean the other genres are dying. They're just not as popular right now.
No, and I think that's like, I think we've talked on previous episodes about like feeling boxed into like one specific genre and like not having room to express your creativity and like, you know, kind of getting over that feeling, and that diversifying the genres you write in just a little bit can still be really good for your career. And I think like as the market kind of shifts, being able to pivot between genres that you enjoy writing and you build up that skill in is valuable,
and that backlist too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So like,
you know, every time it's like, ooh, people are interested in this thing again, time to pull this out.
Exactly. And so like when something isn't like doing amazing, like when a book isn't doing amazing, it's like, okay, well, it might not be its time, but it might have a time later.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
God, I was talking. I had posted, because I was thinking about this. This is like completely random.
Okay.
About how I've only had like so many moments and brushes with traditional publishing before I decided to just do this.
Yeah.
One of them, I had already self-published a book. This is like before I wrote in romance. This was, I was writing a different genre and different pen name. I published my little books. I really didn't expect anything to come out of it, but I got some interest from an editor at a small sort of boutique, not boutique, I don't want to say that, a small indie traditional publishing company. Yeah, I don't know if I would call them indie, because like they were established and they had actually put out quite a few books that I did enjoy. Like, so I was like, oh, I know these guys. Like, oh my God, this is such a compliment. Yeah. She's like, I want to pick up your book. I want us to expand on it. And then we're going to go and, you know, like, look, we're going to publish your book. And it felt so incredibly validating. And so we were going back and forth, and like, I was telling her everything that she wanted to know to like get this done. And then at one point she goes, all right, I'm going to go on vacation, and so I'll contact you in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, cool. People take vacations. It was summertime, so I was like, did not question it. And not that there's anything to question in that. Yeah. When she like, so then like a month goes by, and then I was like emailed her because I was like, this is way longer than like she said she would be gone for. And then when I email, they're like, oh no, she doesn't work here anymore. And she was supposed to pass on all her other projects to other editors. And here's the email of the editor that one got passed to. And then just the interest was not there for that editor. And it was so incredibly like crushing and like heartbreaking to like feel like it got so far and fell through the cracks. Yeah. Then so I had posted that because like I felt so much shame around this thing that happened, because I had told people, oh my God, my book is getting picked up. Oh my God, look at me. Yeah. And it was this, oh my God, I can't tell people that like this didn't go through, that things fell apart. And like, cause it felt like it was my fault that like I didn't reach out quickly enough.
Well, but like also,
and, you know,
also these things happen. Right.
They do.
Like,
and like,
this is such a shared experience.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
And the idea that like you can put a book out there and maybe it doesn't get attention at first, it may still get a sort of I'm so bad with words lately. I can't think of anything I want to say out loud. I'm so bad at it.
I'm all thoughts. We're just gonna have a thoughts podcast now.
You're good. Bodies in the house.
Bodies in the house.
That's it.
Okay.
No. So like, it was just really reassuring to like hear other people like tell that kind, like have similar stories to that and be like, oh, sometimes it can be like really eye-opening that this is a thing that it was good that this didn't happen to you, and like that things didn't go through, you know, that it's actually good that this missed you, you know, like the hindsight of it. And then like someone else like messaged me and was like, oh, like, hey, let's talk about what happened. And then I couldn't even remember the name of the editor. And then she said the name of the editor. And I was like, oh no, oh my God.
It was the same editor?
She started talking about this same editor, like screwed over one of her friends. And I just had this moment of like, actually, you know what? I'm glad it didn't happen. I'm glad that
Yeah.
I've been able to sit back and kind of accumulate a little more wisdom before getting into this kind of area of publishing.
I think there are so many things that like I wanted to happen at a certain time, but like in hindsight, the fact that they didn't was like I was so much more prepared because it didn't happen like
and
that.
like
Yeah.
being able to like kind of the way this thought connects to the first thought that we had
Yeah.
is that like the whole cyclical things, like these things do come back around. If you don't jump on it now, doesn't mean you can't jump on it again later.
Yeah. Well, and it was really interesting because like I've been seeing, and I don't know how true these statistics are, but I've been seeing these statistics that are like the average indie published book only like sells like 100 copies in its lifetime. So like I looked at my books and they are all well above that number, right?
Hey, that's so good. Though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
and so I was like, you know what? Maybe I am doing really well. Right? Like maybe I am. Like
not even like a lack of transparency. It's just that there's no real place for us, and it's not really normalized for us to
share information.
This kind of information, like the statistics, the numbers, like how are you doing? Like where did that land?
Exactly. Well, and like what we talk about so much more is people's like breakout moments. Right?
Yeah.
And like particularly like the, you know, shooting stars that happen at the very beginning of their career, right? So we have these conversations, but that's not the normal experience. The normal experience are the people that just continue to sit down and do the work, or the people that give up.
Yeah,
so much more
really
common.
is it. Like the sitting, that's the comment I wanted to make about like you see so much more return on your work because you continue to like have an internet presence, you have a newsletter, you continue to put out more work. You don't just kind of like put one and out there and then kind of expect it to flourish.
Yeah. Well, and like it's been really cool to see my ARC readers like go through my backlist.
Aww.
Yeah, that's been super cute. So like, I mean, the work is like doing the work. You know what I mean? Like the efforts are paying off. They're just not in gigantic numbers. They're solid. You know what I mean? Like I have for sure, even if it's just in ARC readers, gained more readers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've had so many more signups to my newsletter, and like it's not huge attention, but it is attention. And that like doesn't deserve to be scoffed at because it's not in the thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think I constantly come back to that thing you said about, is this the stress level you want to have right now? Like, are you happy with the amount of stress you have? And for me, the answer is like, yeah, definitely. I don't think I could take on more right now.
But like, would you choose to have less if it meant not achieving what you want? Because that's the other side of that question.
I come back to that because it's like maybe like what happens like if I just let go of like my ambitions and just really dedicated myself to relaxing, you know, when I have time to relax. And sometimes that's a thought that seems so attractive, like just do nothing all the time. But like I have had those moments where like I've done nothing for an entire summer and it eats away at me. I'm like, and I get bored with it.
Yeah. Well, and like that's the thing is like I think that because like okay, Sunday, not only was I really struggling with like my allergies and stuff, and it was Mother's Day, but like it was a freaking brilliant day because all I did was like I laid out a blanket outside because it was so beautiful. Listener, don't come for me. I know it was a terrible choice for my sinuses, okay? Literally laid in a bed of flowers, okay? When I got up,
oh my god,
I felt fucking miserable, but I laid there for hours in the sunshine and I really enjoyed it. And like the dog was outside with me the whole time. Like Ash would come outside and just sit with me, and he was like, Mama, I like this. This is waxing. It was so cute. And then Jude would come out and she'd just sit with me and lay down and we'd listen to music together. And like I literally just laid still all day. I went from laying outside to taking a shower and then laying on my bed and then laying on Jude's bed and then laying on the sofa. That was my entire fucking Sunday, right?
Just sleep surfing.
Yes, just sleep surfing plus gifts. It was wonderful, right? And that day was enough to replenish my need to just fucking hold still. I would not pick for that day to be my normal leisure time, even like reading and stuff like that. I wouldn't pick that because, like, for one thing, I wouldn't appreciate it because it would just be my normal experience. But then also,
yeah,
I don't want to not do my writing and my, like, publishing. I don't want to give that up. Like, at this point, it would really relieve a lot of stress from my life, like, if I did give it up, right? But this is something that is so distinctly for me. I have zero interest in giving it up. If it takes me so long to write my next book and it takes me so long to publish the next book, that's fine. I would rather take that approach than to be like, I'm going to stop doing this because I need to stop doing something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. It's a similar conversation. My brain, like, it keeps trying to shove other words in the middle of some words, and it's like, hi, I just want the sentence to work. Was having a
Go ahead. Do you want to continue your thought before I like steam right through you?
No, you should go.
Okay. So like it always comes back to this question of like, what's your why, right?
Yeah.
And my why is publishing books and letting people read them. Having people read my writing and tell me they enjoyed it really serves a lot of my ego, right? And like,
yeah,
why I want to continue, right? Exactly. Because like,
big mood,
right? Because I could just write if the writing was what I did it for, but it's not, right? Like I want other people to read it. And so the publishing is a very important part to that equation. And yeah, so like I don't want to stop having that experience regardless of how like few and far between those experiences can be. Oh my gosh. Okay, so funny. Sorry, listener, I'm sorry. Okay, you're just gonna be strung behind me like a little helium balloon. We're following me everywhere I go tonight.
No, you're fine.
I was looking at reviews because they're starting to come in for Hazel and Elijah Find Out, and they're really good. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if like new reviews have come in for my other books. And so I looked it up, and like I have a couple of reviews for Truth or Dare that was like, there's a whole embezzlement subplot and there's no reveal. Like, what the hell is that? Right? And I'm like, oh. Oh, I'm sorry, friend. I know. And so I'm like, so like, when I publish the next book, I might unpublish Truth or Dare until I have like a second in series to publish.
Yeah?
I might. Because right now it does feel really shitty to not give them a full story.
I guess, but like, I will forever champion the idea that a series should not be like finished before it gets readers, you know? I think it's so shitty that there are people out there who will tell authors like on their author pages and be like, I'm not going to read your books until the last one's out. And it's like,
yeah, no, I get that.
Don't do
but
that
like
to people.
my, like personally, I'm like, am I going to finish that? Because it is different from what I had, like the direction I have gone, right? But then I think about like what I had written about Willow's book, and I was like, that was really fun. And I might like to go in that direction, right? So I don't know. So it's more so a question of like, it's one thing if I know I'm going to write the rest of the series, but if I don't know that, then it kind of feels like maybe it's unfair to make people... Not make people, but like to put this out there. And then I also changed the back matter so it doesn't talk about Willow's book right away. It talks about, you know, my next release, right? And so it's like, well, it's one thing if like I'm telling them that Willow's book is coming, but I don't know. I wonder how close to having like that book done I am.
You don't know yet?
I mean, it's been so long since I wrote on it, right? because I like kind of stopped writing on it in November of 22. And then because I was like, I'm feeling so stressed about this. I don't know what I'm doing. Now I think if I went back to it, I'd feel a lot more confident. But I also am like, hey, maybe don't go back to that until you have this series completed, because I do apparently have a tendency of not completing series. So
yeah, I feel like
when it's one thing if
the
they're
whole
like
series
standalone.
thing.
It's one thing if they're standalone, like interconnected series, right? But like that very much was meant to have an overarching subplot through the whole series. And so it feels like it should be finished. It feels like if I'm going to keep it up there, it should like, there should at least be like hope for the person at the finish of the book that there's another one coming.
Yeah, series are so hard because it's like you either plan the whole thing ahead and hope you finish it before you kind of run out of enthusiasm for it. You just kind of throw one book out there kind of haphazardly until
it's completed. Trying to figure it out. I've been toying with the idea of like pulling it off, like taking it and unpublishing it. And I think there's a really good argument for it, but I also am like, I do like that book. Right? Like,
I am against this. I'm so against this.
You're so against this.
I think you should save it and leave it up and let people be able to read it if they want to read it. And, you know, like, what if someone recommends it to someone and then they can't find it because you took it down? I mean, you should do what you feel is right.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, because, like, it happens. People die without finishing writing a book or a series. Like, everyone's kind of looking at George Martin like, is it actually going to happen, man? You know, like...
Okay, so here are my thoughts on George Martin. I think that he is not going to write it. I think he has...
Oh, absolutely. I think he's like, he's like, no, it's not worth my time.
Well, and like, also like, I think that it's built up so much that like, he's like, how could I? Right? So what I
literally think, like, what's he gonna, you know, how's he gonna meet all the expectations?
Well, and like, I can, even if he like doesn't let that into his brain, like, so many people feel so much ownership over it, it would be really hard to like not let all of that like sit. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, and like let other people's theories on like how it should go permeate and like influence.
Yeah. So what I think is that he's written down all of his notes and he's just waiting to die to hand it off to somebody.
Do you think like he's gonna set up his estate so that someone can like
I think so. Books, I hope so. Or he's already written it and he's literally waiting for it to be like published post-mortem.
God, that's so sorry. We got so morbid for a second.
Sorry.
He's in perfect health as far as I know.
As far as I know, he's just an old man. Like, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know. You make a good point. I just also think about like if that's the first like entry into reading one of my books, and it's a series that has been like that book has been published since August of 2022, right? So almost 2 years, and it doesn't have a sequel. I might be like, I don't know how much I trust this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
But like, I would rather continue writing the series I'm in right now before going back to that book, like back to that series.
I think it's got to be a perfectly valid option to not finish a series and continue writing other books, because especially because like something I see a lot is that people talking about, hey, this series isn't selling anymore. People aren't interested in this thing that I'm writing. I think it's perfectly fine to put it on hold.
There's a D somewhere there.
Right? Like, just the way I talk is fucked up, basically. And it kills me in meetings, mostly.
Because you're talking about holes?
Yeah, because I just start talking about holes in the middle of a meeting, and they just look at me like, what? The critically acclaimed movie from 2012?
Based on the book?
I don't know that this actually came out probably came out earlier.
Dude, I would die if it was actually 2012.
No, there's no way. Like, I remember that from my childhood. It's got to be like 2004 or some shit.
It can't be 2004. No shit, it's 2003.
Ah! Oh my god.
Wow. I never saw it, actually. I did read the books because it was a Battle of the Books book.
The movie really holds up. Like, I just... Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And you will probably cry at the little, like, romance subplot that, like, they flash back to.
I will have to... Okay, fine. You got me at romance. So...
Oh, it does not end happily. They die. I'm pretty sure they die.
Oh, no.
Like, if you read the book, you probably knew that.
Yeah, but, like, I don't remember a romance subplot in the book.
Oh, okay, then. I'm sorry for spoiling this book, this movie that is 20 years old.
I know. My God. Kate. It's not like I had any opportunity to watch it. I didn't have time. In the past 20 years.
Just couldn't find it. Not in all that time you were laying in flower beds or
yes.
other beds.
Languishing. So, Kate, should we actually talk about marketing? Should we give that a shot?
No, we have like 15 minutes left in this podcast. We're not going to start the topic. I'm sorry, we can't.
We have done
I looked at the clock 10 minutes in and I'm like, all right, we're abandoning that.
Okay, but like we have done this every single episode this season. Every episode.
We have.
But like we have a plan, we can talk about this, and then we start recording and it's 40 minutes in and we're like, what? Okay, so ARC readers. That's kind of relevant to what we've been talking about. So I had a goal of sending out to 100 ARC readers. And I have sent it out.
I'm so glad you met it.
I did. I surpassed it by how many? Almost 10. 9. I've surpassed it by 9. Yeah, man. So I'm very excited about that. I feel like the response has been really solid.
I think the thing about your new release is that it felt like just because you get through something quicker, I think, doesn't mean that you aren't putting as much thought into it. I think some things you just get quicker at because you've written multiple books at this point.
Well,
you know?
And that was gonna be my next comment, is like I do have more experience. I do have more, like, I trust my instincts more on things and like stuff like that. Like, it is really funny because I wrote it pretty fast.
Yeah, you really zoomed through this one.
And I wrote it like 6 months ago now, right? Something like that. Like going back and like reading to find like pull quotes and like stuff like that has been really fun because there's so much about it that I'm like, I don't really remember all of these details, right?
Where's a good quote to pull from?
Oh like, my gosh, what a terrible question, right?
Usually I have a few lines in mind that like, I'm like, I know this is a good one. And other times what it is I go back to the critique chapters that I've shared with our group and find things that people like that you guys have highlighted.
That's cute. That's a good idea.
Where you say, this is like the line that like made me laugh out loud. And then I kind of like dig around in that section.
That's a good idea. But like part of my problem is like I fall in love with the actual prose as I'm writing. And so, well, like there's like
you
a
posted
part
that thing about the bicycle earlier today.
Yeah.
And I had such an experience reading this thing. Like you threw that fucking curveball about like, because you put the text about the motorcycle in front of a picture of a motorcycle.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
Like, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, all right, tell me about this bad boy. And then like I swipe to the next picture and it's a grown-ass man on a dinky little like two-wheeler bike.
With the sun and everything.
And he's like, no. He's as he says, no, I ride a bicycle. And I was like, I feel so fucking betrayed and whiplash and shit.
Okay, but I remember
when I fucking got me though. And then like I kept reading and then like I really fell in love with the prose of that line too. Because I was like, oh my God. This is such a sweet little moment.
It is cute. It is really cute. Because I also remember, like, as I was reading that in our critique group, you're like, you are spoiling his bad boy image for me right now.
I was upset about it.
Yeah. But, like,
I
also,
really, like...
it's so funny.
I love a bad boy motorcycle
Ugh.
saving puppies in a wet cardboard box kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know, like that's
Yeah,
that's my
absolutely. Because I also I definitely have zero interest in people in my life riding motorcycles. Motorcycle listener, don't come for me, okay? I feel very protective of everyone I love, and motorcycles scare me, right? And so, but what is romance if not fantasy, right? So a motorcycle riding hero that saves puppies from the rain is delicious.
From the rain.
I love it, right?
I literally had to write myself a note at the head of my last main Mated to My Ex is just gonna drop the title there because I have no faith in me putting this episode out before I actually get the the title announcement out on all the rest. We'll see what actually happens on Mated to My Ex, which, oh my god, where did I put the thought I was having?
Go filing in the filing cabinet.
God. What were you saying so I can remember what I was going to say?
Motorcycles in saving puppies from rain.
Oh, okay. I literally had to put at the beginning of my document, it's okay if you're writing the Indulgent stuff.
Oh, I love that.
Because I just kept going back to this place of anxiousness that I wasn't writing a deep enough, a heavy enough story.
Uh-huh.
Literally a main aspect of this story is that everyone's got religious trauma. Chill.
Big mood.
It's maybe we don't, we can just really enjoy the, God, and fuck, the thing that has been getting me lately is that because I finished writing this book, and I've been telling you that I've been doing the preparation for, getting it out there. While I'm waiting for Heather to do the edits, I'm just kind of here's all this other marketing stuff that so I did the cover, then I broke the cover up into a bunch of different assets, and then I put them in Canva, and I'm making a bunch of countdown to release day kind of graphics and a bunch of fun things. I'm having a blast. This is
so much fun playground.
My favorite part, I think, of this is my fun part of the playground. I know you don't love it, but
that makes me so happy. I'm so glad you love it.
So I was writing because I see so much discourse about reading arcs or arc readers and the requirements that are made of them, and people not being respectful of the fact that it's a volunteer, and these people are essentially doing you a favor by reading and reviewing your book.
Absolutely.
And if you are rude to them and be no, you need to do it now, and these are the hard deadlines,
no
shit like that.
No, I don't like that.
You can't take time for your family. No. Life happens.
Yeah.
And so I'm writing up a little hey, if life happens at you after you get an arc, it's okay if you can you need to chill on it for a couple months. I'm literally, because I got tagged in a review from an arc reader from for my Gargoyle book, which at this point is it's been 8 months.
Yeah. Gosh, it's
and
crazy it's been that much time.
It kind of made my day a little to see so far out.
Absolutely.
That someone was going to read and review my book. I know we cluster it all on release day.
Yeah.
To kind of get that algorithm talking about it and whatever.
Uh-huh.
But people consistently talking about a book and bringing it back and does a lot of work too, I think.
Absolutely. And then the dopamine pennies it put in your well to
oh my god,
have that
for real.
And then also because I had a couple ARC readers that were I started asking April 22nd, right?
Yeah.
And I had a couple people that were I'm so sorry, I'm just so booked for May. And I'm okay, you can tell me no, I'm totally fine with that. But if you need to go, if you would like a copy and it's not going to be until June that you have your review done, that's fine with me. That is totally fine with me. And so I have a couple that were if that's okay with you, yes, I would love to leave a review in June for you. And like you said, I don't, we do so much for this release day, but I don't know how much the algorithm's working for us anymore, for one thing.
Not at all. They change it constantly, and by
They
the time
really
want to
force you to pay money
figured
for
out
ads.
what works,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And that's really, they really want to force you to pay for ads. That's what they really want, right? And so,
yeah.
So, like, I don't know how much, like, release day is going to make a big difference at this point. But also, like, I'm more interested in continuing to talk about my back list than I am to be like, everything hangs in the balance of this release day. Right? Like, I'm not as interested in that. But no, and I had, like, a couple of people be like, what are your requirements? And I'm like, I don't even know, man. Like...
Don't post this anywhere. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Please don't plagiarize my book. Don't pirate it.
Yeah, like don't be shitty, but like, you know.
But like otherwise,
if you don't
it's
enjoy
fine.
reading it,
DNF it. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, DNF it. If it makes you uncomfortable, DNF it.
Well, and like that's the thing. I know everyone feels differently about this, but like if I DNF a book, I don't leave any sort of rating or review. I don't typically leave a rating or review anyway. But I also won't talk about it typically, like publicly, like you and me, like I'll tell you I DNF that book, right? But like,
yeah.
But I did ask my ARC readers, if you are going to leave less than a 3-star review, I ask that you wait until release day, right?
Okay.
Mostly because, like, I am looking at reviews right now. Right? And not to say that there isn't, like, quality information to get from, you know, a 2 or 1-star review. But I really don't want the downer moment at this stage in my emotional mindset. And so
100%.
It's a selfish question. Like, it's a selfish request, but like that is a request. Also, if somebody does leave a 2-star review, I'm not going to talk to them about it. I'm just going to talk to you about it. Right? Like, I'm going to like respect their boundaries and know that I asked for an honest review and they gave it. I don't know. I think that writers end up feeling entitled with their ARC readers, but like the reality is this person's doing me a favor. Like,
yeah, no, like people who are like, I've seen people make some pretty weird demands of their ARC readers, and it's like, it's too much. Don't do that. Yeah.
I do feel like I need to do a better job of like utilizing a street team.
I've never done the street team thing.
I haven't either.
Not, you know, like, and I kind of wonder, is it a thing that's like solely for established authors or traditionally published authors? Like,
no, this is like advice I have seen from authors. Like, I wish I had established a street team earlier in my career. Like, I wish I had established it at the very beginning. I've heard that from like podcasts and stuff like that. Now, gathered, your street team's gonna be a lot smaller than like somebody who's gigantic, but like if you have 10 people that are willing to post graphics you give them on their, you know, social media sites, that can increase your reach quite a bit, right? And I've seen people that, I've heard of people that will use like Discord channels to keep in contact with their street team and like share graphics that way and like share like different things about the arc and like stuff like that. And then at the end of like that book's release, the people that weren't active in it, they just don't invite them to the next book's release. Like they don't invite them back into that street team at that point. I have been thinking
more into it. It's just kind of a thing that I've like looked down like, I don't know that I could put that effort in yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like right now it would be something that like people who have like done ARC reading for me in the past, if they agree to ARC read, you know, my next book, and sending them the ARC, I would also include like a link to graphics that they could use. And then like asking them 10 days out from release, 7 days out from release, like, hey, do you mind sharing one of the graphics I gave you on your stories or something? Right? Like that is the level of involvement I think I could do right now. I don't think I could get as serious as some folks, but it's a nice little dip your toe in, and then the next book around you can get a little bit more serious.
Yeah, no, of course it's a gradual building kind of wade into you know what you can reasonably like know that you can do.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've been thinking more about that. I think I will send a couple graphics to the people who have ARCed for me this time around, because I have had a couple people be like, hey, if you have graphics, I'm happy to share them. I'm like, oh, I wish I had graphics to give you right now. Like, I wish I had been that prepared, right? You know what I mean? So
I think you could still send them because, like, I made you a bunch that, like,
I agree.
Though I'm gonna just keep you away from like center justified text. You know?
Okay.
You know, I feel like it's so hard to use right. I'm just gonna like take that away from you.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's fair. I was doing it and I'm like, I don't think that this is the way she wants me to do it. Like, I don't know how to fix it, but it doesn't look the way Kate would do it. Like, but I really appreciate the graphics.
Gotta use my things for evil.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not doing it intentionally. I'm just oblivious. So
No.
I don't know, Kate. Do you have any more thoughts that you want to share?
No,
any more random thoughts?
No, I'm all out of thoughts.
Yeah. Mood.
Well, do you have any writing advice?
Okay. So, right now, I'm not able to do a lot of writing because of having to focus on doing other things, right?
Okay.
So
you can do other advice if you want.
Well, no, last night I stayed up late and just wrote like a couple hundred words in that fantasy story I told you about. And it is such a different writing experience because like with romance, I start at the opening scene and I write the whole way through. Like I just write chronologically the whole way. It is very rare that I'll skip to a different, like literally the next scene. Sometimes it is so rare. That might happen once every other book. But typically I write chronologically. This book is such a different undertaking and I don't really know how to like do the world building without actually doing the writing, that I'm writing kind of all over the place. And I'm just kind of like, I don't really know what else happens in the very beginning of the book, but I know that I want something else to happen a couple scenes later. And so I'm writing that other scene. And then at some point, you know, the connective tissue will come in together. And so my writing advice is that even if it's completely different than the way you've normally done it, but it feels correct or it feels like a way to figure it out, it doesn't have to be any way that feels familiar for it to be right. And so that's my advice. What about yours?
My advice is that you should not be afraid to reread your old writing, you know, especially things that like you have good memories around. You know, I think there's a lot of fear of, hey, like finding out, like reading something and going, oh, I'm so cringe, you know? I think that's, but also like, I think there's a lot of ego wrapped up in your, like, you can't have an ego about your writing if you're going to be good because it's going to blind you to, you know, ways that you could improve it. And so like, if you worry too much about that, I think that can also deprive you of some of the joy of what you've done. And I think it's good to go back and reread your stuff, you know, every now and then.
I also think that it's like you can read like an old friend's writing, right? Like, like you can feel a lot of affection for the person that wrote those words because with them writing those words, you were able to build and become what you are now.
Dig it.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about Liz's, was it a fox and a rabbit shifter or something like that? Oh my God.
It was definitely a rabbit. I think maybe it was.
I was thinking about digging that out again. And be like,
it's so cute.
God,
I love that
like,
one so much.
Whole, like actual story around it.
I know.
She does a lot of travel romance, so I think it was a little out of her regular genre.
Well, and I think that she was really just working towards like just keeping her focus towards like what she wanted to accomplish, right? Which I think is admirable. Yeah. I really wish I had more focus sometimes. But yeah, I do think about some of her off genre writing as well. And it's so, I don't know, it's just like it has such a different like kind of tone.
Yeah, I think she kind of loosens up a little bit.
And like, not to say not to say that that's like that her contemporary like travel stuff isn't like super fun. It is.
No, not to like say anything bad about like, but
no,
I think
but her tone is so fun and like her very like off genre writing. It becomes like that one with the rabbit shifter. Like the main character was so fucking annoyed, right? Like it came through. And it was just like, oh, I just loved it. I loved it. I felt like, okay, so sometimes, okay, I'm sorry, Kate. Eventually I'll let you speak.
You're good.
But sometimes like there's certain characters in films or movies or like people in my life who I'm like, they have little brother energy. And that doesn't mean that like they're like not like sexually viable or anything like that, but they're just a fucking nuisance, right? And that was the way I felt about that rabbit shifter. He was just a fucking nuisance, and I loved it. Oh, so cute. She pitched another idea that she's like, I can't remember if she told the whole coven or not, but I was like, oh my god, please tell me you're writing that. So I'll have to tell you off of this because she's so smart. She is so smart.
All right.
Kate, where can they find you?
Ooh, where can they find me? Kate-Pryor.com. You can find all my socials there. You can find my newsletter there and all of my books.
And I am at martyv.com. My new release, Hazel and Elijah Find Out, comes out May 30th. So like there's no way that it's not out and live by the time you hear this. And they are, damn it, Kate, I told you I was going to be prepared. Okay, so like the smallest little tidbit is like a relationship with a legendary bad boy and a bachelor auction could destroy the shaky foundation that Hazel's vet clinic is already built on. It is fun. It is steamy. It's a great book. I really love it. I really do. These two are so fucking cute. Anyway.
I think it's got some of your best stuff in it, honestly.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Okay. So, Hazel and Elijah Find Out, and I'm at Marty the Author on TikTok and Instagram, and I'm also, look at me, being fucking present on those spaces. What else is there, Kate? What else is there? Oh, my newsletter. You can sign up for that at martyv.com, and you can get the forbidden one-night stand of Hazel and Elijah, and Hazel and Elijah Don't Get Caught.
It's the little prequel short story.
It is the prequel that happens before the book. And
I believe, doesn't have an HEA because the book has an HEA.
Yes, that is true.
That they need something to finish in a second.
Oh, but they finish.
They sure do.
Kate, I think that's some of the best sex scenes I've ever written. Like,
oh, for real?
For real, dude. For real. You should read it. It's so fun.
Yes, read it. Read it.
Read it, listener. Read it. All right, I love you, listener. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.